Man, I'm impressed. AI seems to be all over the place and for some reason seems to be taking over almost everything we grew up learning. Honestly, I've never been a big fan of most of them, but there is this particular platform a friend wrote to me about, a platform that claimed a lot including 3D modeling, texturing, retopology, rigging. Interestingly, I had checked it out a while back and planned to make a video, but I ran into some issues during testing, so I dropped it. Earlier this month, I got an email from that company. I failed to read it because I thought it was one of those spams. The email came in again, so I decided to open it, and to my surprise, the company wanted me to check out their supposedly updated program and let them know what I think. So I did that, but I noticed something. The program had improved since the last time I checked it. On top of it is what everybody seems to be doing these days with their AI model, which I think is cool, and that is the addition of Flax, GPT 4.0, and Nano Banana, which can be accessed within the program. And so we exchanged a few conversations and later settled on a review, but on one condition: my terms. I get to test it, give my honest opinion, which they thought about and later responded with a positive yes. And this we are going to be doing together. Now, I made it very clear to the company that I'm actually going to be doing this live walkthrough with my audience, and if I like it, I would recommend it whilst I'm doing it, and if I don't like it, they might not hear from me again. Okay, so this is what we are greeted with. The interface looks cool. We see a couple of models already generated by the platform users. Personally, looking at this first glance screams 3D printing. 3D printing, right? That is why they look very basic like this. But moving through the letters that I was sent, the platform also boasts of the ability to input text or images, generate models, export them as OBJ, FBX, and other files into your third-party 3D animation software. And so that is what I'm going to be doing. To generate a 3D model, an AI tool usually relies on three main inputs working together. The first input is the text to prompt. Right now, with this particular part, you can use its text to image generator here to do that. But to generate better prompts, I would suggest you share what you have in mind with GPT or any other AI tool that generates text and instruct it to make a prompt out of it for you. And guess what? It does it better. And there is also an image to model generation feature. You download an image from Google, something you want to generate a 3D model out of, right? An image. You download that image from Google, import it into the software, and then this software here is going to generate a 3D model out of that image you input here. Now, things to look at. Does the shape make sense? Right. Are there obvious distortions? Does the model feel balanced? Or does it already look unstable? These surface level clues often hint at deeper problems that show up later. Even if you are completely new to 3D, there are simple things you can train yourself to notice at this point. Look at the overall shape and ask whether it actually resembles the reference and whether the proportions feel believable. Look at the surface and watch for strange bumps, dents, or excessive noise that shouldn't be there. Pay attention to symmetry and balance as well. And let's see if you notice whether the object feels coherent or lopsided. I think it's okay. This is cool, right? You don't need technical knowledge yet. At this stage, you're just training your eye. Many AI generated models look perfectly fine on the surface and completely fall apart underneath. So let's try generating some more models to see how consistent it is. Man, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I think I'll be looking more into AI from this moment on. I'm impressed, and I'd actually recommend this. If you are new to Tripo 3D, use my invite link in the description to get 500 extra credit when you sign up. And if you are upgrading to a professional plan, you can also use the discount code TRIPOCREW at checkout to get 60% off your first month. Kindly check out my description and pinned comments for both links and codes. Now we move past the surface and look at what actually holds everything together. That hidden structure is called topology, and it is responsible for most of the problems beginners struggle with in 3D. Every 3D model is made from something called a mesh. A mesh is a network of tiny flat shapes known as polygons. And so topology describes how those polygons are arranged, how they connect to each other, and how organized that entire structure is. To inspect topology properly, I'd have to turn on the wireframe view. For beginners, this is one of the most important views in all of 3D. It actually reveals problems that are completely invisible when the model is shaded. Things that look smooth on the surface can be chaotic underneath, synonymous to a beautiful lady with a crappy character. Very deceptive, right? Very deceptive. One of the first things I look for in wireframe view is the type of polygons being used. Most professional 3D models are built primarily with quad, right, which are four-sided polygons. Quads subdivide smoothly when you add more details. They deform more predictably during animation, and they are much easier to edit. Triangles are not inherently bad, but when a mesh is filled with random, uneven triangles, problems start to appear very quickly. Okay, this is good. So far, I think Tripo AI is up to handle some good stuff. Now that we've examined the structure of the models, it's time to talk about textures. Textures are the main reason a 3D model looks realistic in the first place. They are the visual layer that adds color, surface details, and illusion of complexity. Without textures, most 3D models will look flat, plasticky, and lifeless. One term you hear frequently is texture resolution, which simply refers to how sharp the textured image is. High resolution textures stay clear when you zoom in and preserve fine details. Low resolution textures, on the other hand, quickly become blurry, lose details, and may look stretched across the surface. When comparing AI tools, I always zoom in very close to see how much detail actually survives beyond the initial impression. And this aspect, hands down, Tripo AI overtakes other platforms like Meshi, Huanyun, and Rodin. I mean, I've tried them all, right? That is why I'm so surprised Tripo AI is pulling off what it's doing right now. Another common issue is texture stretching and smearing. This happens when a texture is forced to cover an area it was never designed to fit, often because the underlying UV layout is poor. Strong AI tools handle texture placement more intelligently, right? While weaker ones stretch textures to hide structural problems in the mesh. Textures also work together with materials. What materials do is they control how the surface reacts to the light, okay? They also determine whether something looks shiny or dull, rough or smooth, metallic or plasticky. Many AI tools generate both textures and materials automatically. The issue is that some materials look acceptable in an AI preview but behave poorly in real lighting conditions. And this, hands down, I think Triple AI beats its competition by a wide margin. And if you've loved the video so far, then a sub, like, and share will be appreciated. Let's talk about its rigging feature. One of the standout features of Triple AI that we haven't talked about yet is its auto rigging capability. Auto rigging is a term you hear a lot in 3D, and it simply refers to the process of adding a skeleton to a model so that it can be animated. In traditional 3D workflow, rigging is one of the most time-consuming steps for characters and creatures. An artist must manually place bones, right, define how each part of the mesh moves, and then carefully adjust weight values so limbs bend naturally. For beginners, rigging is often a major roadblock because it requires technical understanding of joint placement, deformation, and animation principles. And so auto rigging plugins aim to remove that barrier, which, for what we have seen so far, most professional tools do well, but not 100% accurate in most cases. Tripo claims their AI auto rigging feature is designed to work right after model generation. Once Tripo builds your mesh, it can generate rigs in a single step without requiring you to open Blender, Maya, or any other third-party application. This means that if you are creating characters or a creature with limbs, Tripo will attempt to give you a skeleton ready for animation right out of the box. Okay, let's see how that goes here. And so you move on to the rigging space and generate your rig. Right, it costs quite an amount of coins, but let's see how that goes. Okay, so this is what we have. Now, how does this look? Right, everybody make your own personal judgment. You can leave what you think in the comment section below. Well, this is quite interesting, more like Mixamo. I think I've spoken about Mixamo before on this channel. If I have not, I'll take time to do a breakdown on Mixamo. But Mixamo has some features in here, and it's interesting to have all these packed in one particular software. at this particular price point. I wasn't expecting this though, but I'm impressed. Tripo's rigging is not flawless, and this is important to understand. Auto rigging in AI systems usually produce what we call a bind space skeleton, a generic rig that works well for simple poses and basic animations. It may not be suitable for complex actions, facial animations, or advanced advanced deformations without refinement. For example, if you push a joint too far, the mesh might stretch unnaturally or collapse in odd ways. This is not unique to Tripo. Even professional auto rigging tools outside of AI struggle with these edge cases. Okay, so let's move on to the next level, and this is where I would end the video with my take. Yeah. Okay, so let's do some final analysis. First is strength. The first area where Tripo performs well is structural consistency. Compared to many AI 3D tools, Tripo produces meshes that feel more intentional. Edges flow logically across surfaces, and the overall shapes hold together when edited or subdivided. The second advantage is reduced repair work, if that makes sense. Tripo's models typically require fewer emergency fixes after export. You are less likely to encounter broken shading, inside-out faces, or geometry that is completely unusable. That doesn't mean there's zero cleanups, but it does mean less panic and less wasted time trying to make a model work. The third strength is texture stability. Textures generated by Tripo tends to hold up better under scrutiny. When you zoom in, they maintain clarity longer and don't collapse into blurry noise as quickly as some competition tools. The key word here is stability, not perfection. Consistent textures make lighting, rendering, and learning much easier. There are fewer limitations, maybe there might be more, but based on what we've experienced firsthand here, I think one will be prompt dependency, right? If your prompt is vague or incomplete, the output would equally be vague. That is why right from the beginning I advise you suggest what you want to ChatGPT and instruct it to generate the right prompt for you. That always works for me because Tripo doesn't magically solve unclear instructions. The second downside I think would have to do with engineering. Right. Tripo is not ideal for highly precise mechanical or engineering work. If you are generating CAD parts, complex mechanical assemblies, or anything that requires strict tolerances, Tripo isn't designed for that level of accuracy. Its strength lies in visual and creative assets rather than engineering grade models. Okay, I think that will be all. If you've also used Tripo and you feel there is something that will be of relevance to the community or 3D community, you can leave it in my comment sections below, whether ups and downs, anything. Hey, feel free. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Until my next video, peace.